Man! I'm the only koopalings left. It's good to be having the throne. I don't care if the rest of the FF22's koopalings got assaulted and dead. I sure miss them though, but I was so scared about seeing the reanimations of FF22's koopalings. I hope they'll get turned back to normal someday. Well, look who's finally decided to show up. What happened to you all?
Well, to tell you the truth, me, Larry, Wendy, Roy, Lemmy, and Morton all got killed at General Guy's 98th job on August 22, 2021, and that happened at Maggie McFly's, and Bowser got killed at the Dark Cat Koopalings' 13th job on December 8, 2021, and that happened at Joe's Crab Shack, but he got eaten by Bad Matthew Koopa Jr. and was consumed after he was ripped to shreds that I don't know the place it on July 8, 2021.
Oh. I see what you mean here.
What? I got eaten? But how is that possible?
Yeah, as Freeze Flame 22's Bowser Jr. said, and Bad Matthew Koopa Jr. tear him to shed heads and eat his remains. That's called cannibalism. Cannibalism, known as anthropophagy, is the act or practice of a person eating the flesh or internal organs of other beings. A person who practices cannibalism, or eat human flesh, is called a cannibal. The anthropologists are not sure how widespread it was, but it did happen in some societies. Cannibalism is known to have taken place throughout human history in most corners of the globe, from the Amazon to Australia. There are plenty of reasons for cannibalism, such as religious practices, serial murder, or just lack of food in the case of humans. Many other animals will engage in cannibalism without a second thought. Some animals that will, at times, eat members of their own species might surprise you, like the hippo, certain types of bears, salamanders, worms, and various other species. The cultural significance and meaning of cannibalistic acts, however, have varied. In some cultures, once a person has died, their loved ones consume parts of their body so that they, quite literally, become a part of them. To Western minds, this might seem disturbing, but to those who entertain these rituals, burying your mother in the dirt or leaving her to be entirely consumed by maggots is equally disturbing. The meaning of cannibalism has been extended into zoology to describe an individual of a species consuming all or part of another individual of the same species as food, including sexual cannibalism. The word cannibalism is derived from Koopalings, the Spanish name for the Caribs, a West Indies tribe that may have practiced cannibalism, from Spanish cabal or caribal, a savage. Ethnologists make a distinction between anthropophagy, the act of eating human flesh, and cannibalism, which is always practiced in groups and is considered a ritual and social institution. The term anthropophagy was borrowed in the 15th century. Cannibalism was first dated 900,000 years ago. Around 900,000 years ago in what is now Spain, the human relative Homo antecessor hunted and ate others of their kind, leaving behind the oldest known evidence of cannibalism. Bones that have been defleshed by other humans goes back 600,000 years ago. It has been also suggested that removing dead bodies through ritual cannibalism might have been a means of predator control, aiming to eliminate predators and scavengers' access to hominid and early human bodies. Researchers have found physical evidence of cannibalism in ancient times. In 2001, archaeologists at the University of Bristol found evidence of Iron Age cannibalism in Gloucestershire. Cannibalism is mentioned many times in early history and literature, and was also reported by Josephus during the siege of Jerusalem by Rome in 70 CE, and were recorded during the First Crusade, as crusaders were alleged to have fed on the bodies of their dead opponents following the siege of Marah. Amin Maalouf also alleges further cannibalism incidents on the march to Jerusalem, and to the efforts made to delete mention of these from Western history. In China during the Tang dynasty, cannibalism was supposedly resorted to by rebel forces early in the period, as well as both soldiers and civilians besieged during the rebellion of Anlushan. In Spain's overseas expansion to the New World, the practice of cannibalism was reported by Christopher Columbus in the Caribbean islands, and the Caribs were greatly feared, because of their supposed practice of it. The first known cannibal was a Neanderthal whose victim's 100,000-year-old bones were discovered in Moulin-Guercy, a cave in France. The 6 sets of remains show evidence of successful attempts to reach brains and marrow, as well as tool marks that indicate where flesh from the tongue and thighs was removed for food. In the United States, there are no laws against cannibalism per se, but most, if not all, states have enacted laws that indirectly make it impossible to legally obtain and consume the body matter. Murder, for instance, is a likely criminal charge, regardless of any consent. Cannibalism itself is not illegal under German law either. Accordingly, the lesser offense at disturbing the peace of the dead is all the prosecutors reportedly have come up with to address the fact that Mills not only killed his victim, but butchered his corpse, not even in the Irish law, as there is no offense of cannibalism in our jurisdiction, not even the Canadian law, as there is no criminal prohibition on eating yourself or eating a part of your friend or family member that has been removed, even not in the Dutch law, as well as the Dutch recognize that it is impossible to prevent people from using drugs altogether, not also even in the British law, as there is no law per se on cannibalism. Cannibalism these days are very rare. Murder and cannibalism are two separate things that can happen at the same time. There are two types of cannibalism: exocannibalism and endocannibalism. In exocannibalism, the victims belong to another social group, enemies killed in combat or prisoners of war, with the aim being to take revenge or assimilate such virtues as their strength or courage. In the Fiji Islands, for example, people did not eat enemies who were considered cowards. Conversely, endocannibalism refers to the ritual consumption of the deceased from one FS own social group, to guarantee that the dead person FS spirit would remain amongst the living, in order to perpetuate their presence or maintain continuity between life and death. Cannibalism is nonetheless a common practice for some species. In conclusion, cannibalism is the act of consuming another individual of the same species as food. Cannibalism is a common ecological interaction in the animal kingdom and has been recorded in more than 1,500 species. Human cannibalism is well documented, both in ancient and in recent times.
What? How could it let this happen? Oh well. Since I'm back, I'll be returning to the throne again. And if I get killed again, you should be returned to the throne.
I don't mind about that. I got killed at Matthew Kepa Jr.'s 31st job on the 28th of September 2021 at Starbucks. Why did my imposter beat me to death? That was one of the worst experiences this ever happened to me. But he got what was coming.
Oh. I died at Mr. M and Mr. L's 12th job happened on August 12, 2021 at Mexico City Grill.
Darn. I got killed at Round Table Pizza during Brandon's 16th job on October 7, 2021.
The same thing happened to me. Classic Ludwig, you also got killed at the same place?
Yeah. What an awful experience that ever happened to us. The same thing happened to Classic Iggy, Classic Roy, and Classic Wendy as well, as they all got killed during Brandon's 16th job at the same place. But they got what was coming. Now we don't have to worry about them. And the reanimation thing is now gone permanently, and General Guy for Hire has came to an end. We don't want this happening again after 2 whole years. The world is back to normal, peace is restored, and we can finally enjoy too without dealing with the wanted jokes anymore.
Yeah! Wow. After 2 whole years of doom, General Guy for Hire has officially come to an end, but, too bad that Nate, Good Classic Kitty Lisa Loud, and Tanuki Dougie O'Connell were now disabled people because their injuries were oh bad, it cannot recover from their injuries. Also, Bowser Jr. has watched over LMK Jr. because I moved to Mars 15 months ago, but when he got killed, Bowser watched over him. When he got killed also, Mario's brother, Luigi, watched over him, until this happened. Now the world is back to normal since General Guy for Hire ended. From the beginning to the end of General Guy for Hire, I stayed here, thanks to Beyond Logic.
Over already?
Yeah. It is over.
Sweet. We stayed here until the end.
Now peace is restored on Earth, and the world is back to normal.
Sweet. General Guy for Hire is now over after 2 years.